Usually, we tend to think of time as just this straight line.
Right, like past, present, and future. Very clean.
Exactly. The past is a locked door behind you, the present is the room you're standing in, and, well, the future is the hallway ahead. It's comforting physics.
But English grammar has a bit of a ghost in the machine.
Yeah, it really does. It has this one tense that fundamentally refuses to let the past die. It insists that what happened 10 years ago or even 10 minutes ago is like still breathing down your neck right now.
Which is exactly why it can feel so alien.
Totally. So, welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is highly practical for you listening. We are mastering one of the absolute trickiest concepts for English beginners, which is the present perfect tense.
And the goal here is to help you understand it so deeply that you literally never make a mistake with it again.
Right. And to do this, we're looking at a super helpful English learning guide that features a conversation between two teachers, Emma and Paul.
Yeah, and we should say right up front, we're going to keep the language simple today. We're keeping the pace comfortable. You are not going to get overwhelmed by, dense grammar jargon.
No jargon here. We all know the mechanical terms, right? Past participles, auxiliary verbs. But we are bypassing the textbook definitions to look at the why. Why does this tense matter so much?
It matters because, for a beginner, it doesn't just describe the past. It describes exactly how the past touches the present moment. It blurs the boundary intentionally.
It's an emotional tool, really. It's not just about chronologies.
Exactly. It negotiates reality.
So let's ground this in an actual example from the source material. It's a really mundane scenario. We've got our two teachers, Emma and Paul. And Emma has had this incredibly chaotic morning.
Right. She's been running around. She cleaned her entire kitchen. She walked her dog twice.
Yeah, she is exhausted. And she sits down and says, I have had a very long morning. She absolutely does not say, I had a long morning.
Which is so interesting because on paper, I had a long morning is shorter. It's more efficient.
It seems like it gives you the exact same data. So why do the grammatical gymnastics of adding that extra word?
Well, because the data isn't the point. Her physical state right now is the point.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if Emma uses the past simple and just says, I had a long morning, she's acting like a historian. She's reporting on an era that is completely finished.
So it's dead and gone.
Right. The psychological cue to the listener is that she's recovered, or maybe it's late afternoon now. The event is totally severed from her current reality.
I mean, that feels like a massive missed opportunity for empathy.
It really is.
Like, if I want you to know I'm exhausted right now, giving you a historical fact doesn't really demand your sympathy. But if I use the present perfect and say, I've had a long morning, I'm basically throwing a bridge from that chaotic kitchen cleaning directly to the chair I'm sitting in.
I love that analogy. It's a bridge. And the sweat is literally still on her brow.
Exactly. The bridge is actively bearing weight.
Right. The action of walking the dog is technically over. The leash is put away. But the fatigue from that action is still surging through her right now.
So by saying I have had, she's forcing Paul to deal with her current exhaustion.
Yes. She's saying, the past is actively acting upon me right this second, so, adjust your expectations of me.
Okay, so if you're a beginner, just think of it as building a bridge. It connects the past action to the exact moment you are speaking.
Which completely changes how you should approach this. It's not just a math formula of adding have to a verb.
No, it's about claiming ownership of the consequences. Like, if I drop a glass and it shatters and I say, I broke a glass, I'm just telling you a fact.
Right, a confession of clumsiness. You might just say, oh, that's too bad.
But if I say, I have broken a glass, I am pointing to the shards on the floor and telling you, hey, don't step there.
Exactly. It's an immediate environmental warning. The grammar itself triggers a totally different response in the listener's brain. The mess is still active.
Wow, okay. So we use it to demand empathy or caution. But let's expand this bridge, because connecting a single messy morning to right now is one thing. What about when we want to talk about our entire lives?
Yeah. The life experiences. This is where the bridge has to stretch across someone's entire lifespan.
Right, and in the source, this brings us to a specific vocabulary trap. We're talking about words like ever and never.
Yeah, the transition from recent actions to broad life experiences can be super confusing for learners.
Totally. So back to Emma and Paul. Paul casually mentions he has eaten sushi many times, and Emma asks that classic question. Have you ever been to Japan?
Right, she uses ever to probe for an experience.
And she notes that she has never gone to Japan, but she has visited South Korea, so never acts as this absolute void in negative sentences.
They're like the twin pillars supporting this massive lifelong bridge.
But here's where I want to push back a little, because there's this huge trap beginners fall into. If I want to tell you about my amazing trip to South Korea, my natural human instinct is to set the scene, right? I want to tell you exactly when I went.
Of course you do.
So I want to say, I have visited South Korea in 2024.
And that is the biggest mistake you can make. The present perfect absolutely hates specific times in the past.
It hates dates.
It despises them. The internal logic of the language is incredibly strict here. The moment you introduce a finished time, like 2024 or yesterday or last week, the sentence mathematically collapses.
You cannot say I have visited in 2024.
You absolutely cannot.
But why? I mean, I know it's the rule, but why does the language forbid me from setting the scene? If the goal is to tell you who I am today based on what I did, why is the date toxic?
Because the date fundamentally changes the information you're giving. Think of the present perfect as a psychological life resume.
Okay, a life resume.
Yeah. When you hand an employer a physical resume, are you trying to tell them a charming story about your Tuesday afternoons in your old job?
No, obviously not.
Right. You're presenting an accumulated wealth of skills that exist inside you right at this second.
Okay, but a regular resume absolutely has dates on it. It says director, 2019 to 2022.
True, a corporate resume has dates, but a linguistic resume operates differently. When you say, I have visited South Korea, you're claiming that the experience is absorbed into your identity right now. The date is just a historical footnote.
Oh, I see. So if I say I visited South Korea in 2024, I'm pulling you, the listener, back in time to that specific year.
Exactly. You're teleporting both of you to the past. You've burned the bridge to the present. The action is trapped in a sealed box labeled 2024.
Wow. So I'm forcing you to watch a movie of my past rather than looking at who I am today.
Precisely. The moment you drop that temporal anchor, the perfect aspect shatters. This is why it's so hard for learners. They want the best of both worlds.
They want the identity claim and the historical story in the same breath.
And English just brutally says, no, pick one. Are you a person who has done this, or are you telling me a story about last Tuesday?
So the fix is simple. If you want to use a specific date, you must switch back to the past simple. I visited South Korea in 2024. Done.
Exactly. Keep the present perfect exclusively for the experience of having done it in your life up to now. No specific dates allowed.
Okay, so since we can't use specific past dates, we need special words to talk about how time relates to the present moment. And the source gives us a specific set of vocabulary words that absolutely love the present perfect.
Yes, these are the time markers, the structural glue of the tense.
Right. It introduces two pairs of words that are constantly mixed up. First, we have already versus yet, and second, since versus for. Let's start with already and yet.
This brings us back to a really tense office lunch scenario in the text.
Oh man, yeah. Paul is working, his stomach is literally growling. He says, I haven't eaten lunch yet.
And Emma, who is entirely unbothered, replies, I have already prepared some sandwiches.
On the surface, they're just talking about food. But yet, and already, are doing so much heavy lifting here. Let's break down Paul's yet. We use yet for negatives and questions, right?
We do. And the unseen force driving that word is expectation?
Expectation.
Yeah. Yet is like a lingering ghost. When Paul says, I haven't eaten lunch yet, the negativity acknowledges he hasn't eaten, but yet tells the listener that he expects it to happen soon.
The window is still open.
Exactly. It's delayed, but the promise of lunch is hanging in the air.
Right, because if he just used the past simple and said, I didn't eat lunch, that's a tragedy.
Total tragedy. It implies the cafeteria is closed, lunch hour is over, and he's just going to starve until dinner.
So yet is incredibly optimistic. It's negotiating with reality. I haven't found a job yet. You expect it to happen.
It demands that the listener hold space for that future reality. Now, contrast that with Emma's already. She says, I have already prepared some sandwiches.
We usually use already in positive sentences, and it feels like the complete opposite emotional weight.
It is. It's not about lingering expectation. It's about subverting time. Already means something happened sooner than you expected.
It's like a pleasant surprise, or, annoyed efficiency.
Right. She's saying, I beat the clock. You're worried about lunch, but my present reality is way ahead of your expectations.
Like when a parent tells a teenager to take out the trash. If the kid says, I took out the trash, it's just a fact. But if they say, I have already taken out the trash, they're asserting dominance.
Yes. My timeline is faster than yours. It's so subjective. The grammar encodes human impatience and surprise.
That is so cool. Okay, so that's the expectation pair. But sometimes we do need to be objective about time. We need to talk about duration. And that brings us to the second pair, since and for.
And this is where it turns into a math concept.
Yes, the source compares this directly to math. Let's say Paul and Emma both moved to a city at the same time. Paul says, I have lived here for 5 years. Emma says, I have lived here since 2021.
They were describing the exact same physical reality. Let's assume it's currently 2026. But they're using totally different mathematical formulas.
Okay, let's unpack Paul's formula. He says, for 5 years.
The word for is a linguistic stopwatch. You click start when it begins, let it run, click stop today, and read the total amount of time. 5 years, 3 hours, 10 minutes.
So 4 calculates the total block of time. Paul did the math for us.
Exactly. He hands you the final sum.
But then Emma throws the stopwatch out the window. She says, since 2021, she's pinpointing the exact starting line.
Right. Since does not do the calculation for you. It forces the listener to do the math. You plant a flag at the origin point 2021 and draw an unbroken line to today.
So 4 measures the length of the trail you hiked, and since marks the trailhead where you started.
That's a perfect way to look at it. And mastering these time words makes a beginner sound incredibly natural. But there is one final trap.
Oh, yes, the ultimate boss trap of the present perfect. This one can completely change the meaning of your sentence and literally alter physical reality.
We are talking about the difference between been and gone.
This is a classic trap from the source material. It's so easy to mix these up because, in casual thought, being somewhere and going somewhere feel like synonyms.
They really do. But let's look at the example of their friend Mark. Mark travels to Paris.
Okay, imagine we are at a party and someone asks, hey, where is Mark? We have 2 choices. Option A, Mark has gone to Paris. Option B, Mark has been to Paris.
Let's analyze the physical reality of option A. Mark has gone to Paris. Where is he right now?
If I say Mark has gone to Paris, he is physically in France right now. He packed his bags, got on a plane, and he is eating a croissant by the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly. The most critical piece of data is he is not here.
Right. His absence is the present reality. He walked across the bridge to Paris and he stayed there.
So gone is an active state of displacement.
Mhm.
Now, what happens to the universe in option B? Someone asks, where is Mark? And you reply, Mark has been to Paris.
The universe shifts completely. If I say, Mark has been to Paris, I'm not telling you his current location anymore. I'm telling you about his life resume.
Right. He visited Paris in the past, he took his photos, and crucially, he returned.
He completed the round trip. So he is back home right now. He could literally be standing in the next room getting a drink.
Exactly. Been means the physical journey is complete. The trip is an attribute of his identity, not his location. Gone is a location update. Been is an experience update.
I mean, mixing these up isn't just a tiny grammar error. You are accidentally teleporting human beings.
You really are. Imagine a school secretary calling a parent and saying, your child has gone to the hospital, versus your child has been to the hospital.
Oh my gosh. The emotional difference is panic versus relief. Gone means they are currently at the hospital in an emergency. Been means they went previously and are fine now.
It's life and death spatial awareness encoded into one word.
And it gets even weirder if you use it in the first person. Imagine standing right in front of someone and saying, I have gone to the grocery store.
It creates a total linguistic paradox. The listener's brain would short circuit. How can you be talking to me if you are currently displaced at the grocery store?
You literally have to say, I have been to the grocery store, acknowledging you went and came back. It's so strictly logical when you actually break it down.
It is. The language demands to know where the bodies are currently located.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's quickly recap the key takeaways for the beginners listening.
Absolutely.
First, the tense is a bridge connecting past actions to the present moment. Second, it completely avoids specific past dates, no yesterdays or in 2024s.
Third, it relies heavily on specific time markers. Yet, for expectation, already for surprises, for duration, and since for the starting point.
And finally, you must distinguish carefully between been for a completed round trip and gone when someone is still physically away.
Now, I want to leave you, the listener, with the exact homework assignment from our source material.
Oh yes, theory is great, but we need action.
Right. Instead of just passively listening, I challenge you to use this tense right now. Think about your day so far and formulate one perfect sentence using the present perfect.
Speak it out loud. It could be simple, like, I have drunk 3 cups of coffee,
Yeah.
or I have listened to a deep dive today.
Apply the knowledge immediately so it sticks in your brain permanently. Feel the weight of the past connecting to your present.
Build that bridge right now. And as you do, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over. We've spent this whole time talking about how this tense refuses to let the past die, right?
We have.
Well, think about the idea of linguistic relativity, the idea that the language we speak shapes how we perceive reality.
Oh, that's a deep rabbit hole.
Right. What does it mean about English speakers that our language evolved this incredibly complex, inescapable grammatical structure dedicated purely to carrying our historical baggage into our present conversations?
Are we just a culture obsessed with our own history?
Exactly. Are we unable to just exist in the moment without proving our accumulated worth? Or, and I like this version better, is it a beautiful testament to the fact that we recognize human beings are a summation of every moment they've survived?
Wow. It changes how you look at a grammar rule.
It really does. Think about that next time you declare what you have done in your life. Keep building those bridges, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.